Alright, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to use Runway ML to create mind-blowing AI videos and images in minutes. After testing out the tool and taking a look at some of the amazing generations from the community, I wanted to do a roundup of some of my favorite ways to use Runway Aleph. So, let's rub our toes together and let's get into it. In front of me is the Runway website. So, to use Aleph, all you have to do is go to the Get Started button, and at the time of the recording, it's actually going to default to Runway Aleph. So you can tell it because we have it in chat mode right here. So basically, we're just having a conversation with Runway rather than using all the one-off applications to generate the videos or perform other video tasks like if you've ever worked with Runway in the past. For our first example, I wanted to take a look at clothing replacement. So let me just set the stage here. Let's say that we shot some video of this man walking down the street, but we want to change his outfit in some sort of a way. Well, it's actually really easy to do this using Aleph. So all you have to do is drag your image from wherever you keep yours into the chat box, and bing, bang, boom, Bob's your uncle. So we're just going to go ahead and bring this video footage that we have right here into Runway. And the cool thing is that you can basically just have a conversational experience with Runway. So all we're going to do is we're going to say, give this man in the video a massive polar bear fur coat. And whenever you're ready, all you have to do is just go ahead and click generate. Now, there are a few things that you should know when you are using this tool. The first is that the clips can't be more than 5 seconds long. If you do upload a video clip that is longer than 5 seconds, what's going to do is just crop the first 5 seconds, and that is going to be what's generated inside of the tool. Now, that's not usually a very big deal, as most of the time when you're working on a film project, you're not going to have too many shots that are longer than 5 seconds. And the second thing to note is that the generations simply take a little longer than what you're probably familiar with if you've used other tools like VO or Kling. Most of the generations, they do take at least 5 minutes, and it really depends on the shot. Every now and then, some shots will simply just throw an error code at you, and it's not entirely clear why. So you may be working on a project, and shot number 2 of a 7-shot sequence may get messed up, and you really aren't going to have a whole lot of understanding as to why. And that can be a very frustrating experience. But generally speaking, Aleph does do a good job with most of the assets that you upload. So now after about 5 minutes, we have our generation here from Runway. And so let's just take a look at this video. And I've got to say, every single time I use this tool, I swear it makes me more and more convinced that we're all living in a simulation. So anyway, let's just say that we like this clip from Runway. And the cool thing is that you actually have the ability to upscale it to 4K directly inside of Runway. All you have to do is click that button, and it will upscale the video to your computer. Just take a look at this clip here. And honestly, I think it did a pretty amazing job, as I'm having a really hard time finding an issue anywhere with this video clip. So it's an incredible result from Aleph. Awesome. Now, let's just say that we want to be very specific about what this man is wearing. Well, the cool thing is that using this technology, you can upload other assets to support the generations that you were trying to get from Aleph. So let's just go back into Aleph, and we're going to add our media here. So we have our original video, and then we also have this spacesuit. So let's just go ahead and bring both of these assets inside of Aleph. And we're just going to go ahead and paste a prompt that says, put the spacesuit on the man. Then we're going to go ahead and click generate. And now you just have to wait a few minutes, which happens to be the perfect time for you to like and subscribe to this video, which, by the way, have I told you that you look absolutely incredible today? Because you do. Now, after a few minutes here, we have this result here. I think it did, again, a really good job. Now, for our next example, I was really inspired by some incredible examples online of people doing object removal, so I wanted to test it out for myself. So I'm going to use this footage right here of a kid holding a soccer ball on a field. And let's just say that we want to add in some kryptonite, because that's quite a common material. So we have this kryptonite that I generated inside of Midjourney. And let's just go ahead and bring both of these assets into Aleph. And we will say, swap out the soccer ball with this green kryptonite. And after a few seconds, we get this generation here. And it really is incredible how the tool understands the lens dynamics. If you look around the edges of that rock, you'll see that there's a bit of haze from the bokeh as the camera focus begins to fall off on the edge of that rock. And you're also going to see there's some illuminance from the light coming through the green stone, which really helps sell the overall compositing. So I think that it really did a great job on this one. Now, if you're following Runway on X, then you may remember this example where someone generated one shot of a subject and then essentially used Aleph to generate other angles of that shot. Well, I want to show you how to do that for yourself because I think that reframing and getting different shots is one of the most impressive uses of this technology. So we have this shot here of a surfer sitting on his board out in the ocean. But we're just going to go ahead and bring that into Aleph. And let's say reframe the shot to be a close-up on the surfer. So go ahead and click Generate now. And if you just take a look here, the generation gives us this incredible drone-style angle, showing the circular ripple patterns around the surfer. And what's cool is how consistent the character design is. The surfer looks like the same person from a new perspective, and the lighting stays in line with the whole original footage. And if you had to reprompt the close-up in a secondary tool like Midjourney, it might be challenging to get the same color grading, the same characters exactly in the same shot, but it did an amazing job here using Aleph. So you can also use Aleph to relight your shots, whether you're looking to change the lighting environment or even the time of day. So let's take a quick look at this example here. I have 3 different shots here of a chef cooking up something nice in the kitchen. And they were all shot under bright fluorescent lights, but let's just say that we want it to happen in the evening or kind of in a warm, rustic cabin lit by a fire type environment. Well, all we have to do is select our shot, and then you can also define the way in which you want your lighting to look based on an image. So I went to Midjourney and I got this image here. And you can see that it just feels like a very warm, dramatic scene. So let's just go ahead and bring in our shot and our image asset. And we're just going to say, relight this scene based on the lighting from the photograph. And we have all 3 shots. Here's number 1. You can see it pretty much freaking nailed that one. And now here's number 2. I like how it makes the room really feel warm and cozy, rather than sterile and cold like it was. And then we have the final shot here, and again, it did a really, really good job. So pretty impressed. Okay, now we have a few final examples that I want to show you. So let's get to example number 6, which is turning on the lights. Now this is pretty interesting, and I've got to admit, it's a little niche, but one of the cool things that you can do with Aleph is to actually describe and select the kind of lighting that you want to change inside of your scenes. So, for example, in this shot here, you can see that we've got an old street at dusk with lanterns hanging overhead, but none of them are actually lit. The lighting is actually coming from the moon, but let's just say that we want to brighten up that street and make those lamps glow and make them really warm and nice. So we're just going to go ahead and bring this video into Aleph, and we're going to type in a super complex prompt. So just take your pen and paper out. We're going to say, turn the street lamps on. And then we're just going to go ahead and click generate. Now we have this shot here. And as you can see, it did a really, really good job. It turned the lamps on in a very natural way. And one of the things that I really like from this generation is that the lanterns, they don't just glow. They cast subtle light onto the walls and the cobblestones around them. So our next example is pretty wild. Using Aleph, you can change the time of day in which your footage was shot. So let's just say that we're working on a hiking documentary, and we just have this shot of hikers celebrating as they reach the summit of a mountain at midday. It's a nice shot, but the bright daylight doesn't really give us the mood that we want. So instead, let's make this a dramatic midnight scene. So all we have to do is we bring the image into Aleph, and we're just going to say, change the lighting in this scene to a starry midnight with the Milky Way visible. Of course, if we wanted to be hyper specific about the exact look, we could upload a reference image of a night sky, but for now, we're just going to keep it simple and hit generate. And that gives us this result right here, and let me tell you, that looks pretty dang good if I don't say so myself. So, there you go. There are a few fun ways to use Runway Aleph inside of your projects. Now, if you have any examples that you would like to share with the community, then of course I would love to see them down in the comments below of this video. And as always, you can like and subscribe to get the latest tutorials and news directly into your veins. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.